What did you find in your mother's deleted messages? The old iPhone 6 was supposed to go to Goodwill tomorrow. Mom had finally upgraded after 3 years of me begging her to get something that wouldn't die at 20% battery, and she tossed it into the junk drawer with a casual "I'll clear it out later." That was 2 weeks ago. I wasn't snooping, at least, that's what I told myself as I plugged it into the charger Tuesday afternoon. I just wanted to factory reset it properly before donating it. Mom was at her book club, and I was procrastinating on job applications in the kitchen when the familiar Apple logo flickered to life. The phone still had her passcode saved. 0624, my birthday. See? We were close. Mom and I told each other everything. We'd always been more like friends than mother and daughter, especially since Dad passed 5 years ago. She'd even joked last month about how I was her best friend and favorite roommate when Aunt Linda asked when I was moving out. I navigated to settings, then general, scrolling down to find the reset option. That's when the notification popped up. Recently deleted messages, 47 items will be permanently deleted in 23 days. My thumb hovered over the screen. I should just reset it. But something nagged at me. Maybe it was the way Cousin Mike had been weird at Uncle Jerry's barbecue last weekend, barely making eye contact when I tried to talk to him about his new job. Or how Grandma Rose had made that comment about young people these days not understanding hard work while looking directly at me as I helped serve dessert. I tapped the notification. The deleted messages folder opened, and my stomach dropped. Thread after thread with family members I'd known my whole life. Aunt Linda. Uncle Jerry. Cousin Mike. Grandma Rose. All dated within the last 6 months. My hand started shaking as I opened the first one, a conversation with Aunt Linda from 3 weeks ago. Asterisk Mom, 2:47 p.m. I'm at my wit's end with Sarah. She's been home for 8 months now and barely tries to find work. Just sleeps until noon and expects me to cook and clean for her asterisk. Asterisk Aunt Linda, 2:52 p.m. Oh honey, that must be so hard for you. You're such a saint for putting up with it asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 2:53 p.m. I feel terrible saying this about my own daughter, but she's become so entitled. I'm struggling to pay the mortgage and she acts like it's a hotel here. Never offers to help with bills or groceries asterisk. I stared at the screen, reading it twice, then 3 times. 8 months ago I graduated summa cum laude from state. I'd been applying to jobs for months, had 2 interviews lined up this week. I gave Mom $400 every month from my savings, not much, but it was something. And I'd made dinner 4 nights last week while she was out with friends. But that wasn't the worst part. I scrolled up to see more. Asterisk Mom, 1:23 p.m. The worst part is she thinks we're so close. Always wanting to have heart-to-heart talks and telling me about her feelings. It's exhausting pretending to care about her drama when she won't even take responsibility for her own life asterisk. The phone slipped from my hands and clattered onto the kitchen counter. My chest felt tight, like someone had wrapped steel bands around my ribs and was slowly tightening them. Those heart-to-heart talks? Like last Thursday when I'd confided in her about feeling insecure about my job search, and she'd held my hand and told me I was the strongest person she knew? I picked up the phone with trembling fingers and kept scrolling. There were dozens more messages. Months of them. I opened the thread with Uncle Jerry next, dated 2 months ago, right after his birthday party where he'd seemed so cold to me. Asterisk Mom, 9:15 p.m. Thanks again for dinner tonight. I'm sorry Sarah was so rude to Patricia. She gets jealous when I talk to other people asterisk. Asterisk Uncle Jerry, 9:22 p.m. I noticed she seemed off. Patricia mentioned Sarah rolled her eyes when she was talking about her promotion asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 9:23 p.m. She's always been like this, even as a kid. Can't stand when attention isn't on her. I've tried to teach her better but she's 24 now, what can I do, asterisk. Asterisk Uncle Jerry, 9:25 p.m. Don't blame yourself, sis. You did your best raising her alone asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 9:27 p.m. Some days I wonder where I went wrong. She criticizes everything I do but contributes nothing. Yesterday she had the nerve to suggest I was wasting money on my pottery classes. Those classes are the only thing keeping me sane asterisk. My vision blurred. I remembered that conversation completely differently. Mom had been stressed about finances, mentioning she might need to dip into her emergency fund for the mortgage. I gently suggested maybe taking a break from the $200 a month pottery studio until she found steadier footing. She'd smiled and said I was so thoughtful for worrying about her. At Uncle Jerry's party, I hadn't rolled my eyes at Patricia. I'd stepped away to take a call from a potential employer, something Mom knew because I'd excitedly told her about it on the drive over. But Jerry believed her version. They all did. I scrolled to the thread with Cousin Mike, my stomach churning. Asterisk Mom, 6:33 p.m. Could I borrow $300 until next month? Sarah was supposed to help with the electric bill but spent her money on clothes instead asterisk. Asterisk Mike, 6:41 p.m. Of course, Aunt Carol. I'll Venmo it tonight asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 6:42 p.m. You're a lifesaver. I don't know what I'd do without family like you. I just wish Sarah understood how hard things are right now asterisk. Asterisk Mike, 6:45 p.m. Have you thought about giving her an ultimatum? Maybe she needs tough love asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 6:47 p.m. I've considered it, but she's so sensitive. Last time I tried to have a serious talk about responsibility, she cried for hours and made it all about her feelings. I ended up comforting her asterisk. The date stamp made my blood freeze, October 15th. The same day I'd given Mom my $400 monthly contribution, plus an extra $200 because she'd mentioned the electric bill seemed high. The clothes she referenced was a single interview outfit I bought for $85 at Target, something she'd encouraged me to purchase. That serious talk, she mentioned? She'd asked me to consider looking into graduate school, and I'd gotten emotional explaining how scared I was about taking on more debt when I couldn't even find an entry-level job. She'd hugged me and said crying was healthy, that she was proud of me for being vulnerable. But Mike didn't know that. All he knew was that his aunt was struggling financially because her selfish daughter was buying clothes instead of paying bills. I opened the most recent thread, Grandma Rose, from 5 days ago. Asterisk Mom, 11:28 a.m. I hate to ask, but could you help with groceries this week? Sarah ate the last of the good food and didn't replace it. I came home to empty containers in the fridge asterisk. Asterisk Grandma Rose, 11:45 a.m. Of course, sweetheart. That girl needs to learn some respect. When you were her age, you were already married and managing a household. Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 11:47 a.m. I try not to compare, but sometimes I wonder if I made her too comfortable. She acts like a teenager instead of an adult. Asterisk. Asterisk Grandma Rose, 11:52 a.m. Maybe it's time for some boundaries. You're too good to her, Carol. Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 11:55 a.m. You're probably right. I just hate conflict. But I can't keep enabling this behavior. Asterisk. 5 days ago, I'd eaten leftover Chinese takeout that Mom said she didn't want. The containers weren't empty. I'd left her half of everything and written a note thanking her for sharing. But Grandma Rose had sent Mom $150 for groceries that week. I'd seen the Venmo notification on Mom's phone when it was sitting on the counter. I sat on the kitchen floor, back against the cabinets, scrolling through message after message. Each thread revealed another layer of Mom's carefully constructed narrative. I wasn't just lazy, I was manipulative. I wasn't just ungrateful, I was emotionally abusive. I wasn't just a burden, I was the reason for every financial struggle, every moment of unhappiness in her life. The thread with Aunt Linda went back further than the others. I scrolled up to messages from my graduation day, a day I thought was one of the happiest we'd shared. Asterisk Mom, 7:43 p.m. Just got back from Sarah's graduation. She's upset because she didn't get some award she thought she deserved. Asterisk. Asterisk Aunt Linda, 7:55 p.m. Oh no. I thought she graduated with honors. Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 7:57 p.m. She did, but it's never enough. She was pouting during the whole ceremony because this other girl got recognized for community service. Sarah kept making comments about how unfair it was. Asterisk. Asterisk Aunt Linda, 8:02 p.m. That's disappointing. You must have been embarrassed. Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 8:05 p.m. I just smiled and tried to be supportive, but honestly Linda, sometimes I don't recognize my own daughter. The entitlement is off the charts. Asterisk. My throat burned. I remembered graduation day perfectly. Jessica Martinez had won the Community Service Award, and I'd whispered to Mom how inspired I was by her work with underprivileged kids. I'd even said I wanted to find volunteer opportunities like that. Mom had squeezed my hand and whispered back how proud she was that I admired other people's success instead of being jealous. But she told Linda I was pouting and entitled. I scrolled to a thread with someone labeled Nancy W., Mom's coworker. I realized. Asterisk Mom, 3:22 p.m. Sarah's having another one of her anxiety attacks about job interviews. I swear she sabotages herself because she's scared of actual work. Asterisk. Asterisk Nancy W., 3:30 p.m. Some kids just don't want to grow up. My nephew was the same way. Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 3:33 p.m. The thing is, she's smart enough to fool people. She'll cry and talk about how overwhelming everything is, and people feel sorry for her. But then she turns around and criticizes how I load the dishwasher. Asterisk. Nancy W., 3:37 p.m. Sounds exhausting for you. Asterisk Mom, 3:39 p.m. It is. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells in my own home. God forbid I suggest she clean her room or help with laundry. Then I'm the controlling mother. Asterisk. The anxiety attacks she was referring to were panic attacks I'd been having during phone interviews. I told her how my heart would race and my voice would shake, and she'd suggested breathing exercises and bought me chamomile tea. Just last week, she'd rubbed my back when I'd hyperventilated after a particularly brutal interview where they'd grilled me about my employment gap. And the dishwasher thing? I'd mentioned once that pre-rinsing dishes saved the machine from getting clogged. She'd laughed and said I was so helpful with household tips. But to Nancy W., I was a manipulative freeloader who tormented my poor mother. My phone buzzed with a text. Mom. Asterisk book club's running long. There's leftover pasta in the fridge if you want dinner. Love you. Red heart. Asterisk. I stared at the heart emoji, feeling nauseous. How could she type those words when she'd spent months telling everyone I was a burden who criticized her cooking and expected to be waited on? I scrolled back to find more recent messages, and my heart stopped when I saw a group chat labeled Family Updates with Aunt Linda, Uncle Jerry, Grandma Rose, and 2 of my cousins. Asterisk Mom, yesterday, for 15 p.m. I don't know what to do anymore. Sarah's gotten aggressive when I tried to set boundaries. She screamed at me yesterday for asking her to do her own laundry. Asterisk. Asterisk Aunt Linda, for 22 p.m. Oh honey, that's not okay. You shouldn't have to deal with that. Asterisk. Uncle Jerry, for 25 p.m. Has she always had anger issues? Asterisk Mom, for 27 p.m. It's gotten worse since she moved back home. I think she resents me for not being able to support her lifestyle anymore. Asterisk. Asterisk Grandma Rose, for 30 p.m. This breaks my heart, Carol. You don't deserve this treatment. Asterisk. Cousin Mike, for 33 p.m. Want me to talk to her? Asterisk Mom, for 35 p.m. No, please don't. She'd just deny everything and then take it out on me later. I have to be careful not to set her off. Asterisk. Yesterday. She was talking about yesterday at 4:15 p.m. I checked my phone's activity log. At 4:15 p.m. yesterday, I was at the library, had been there since noon. I texted Mom at 3:30 to ask if she needed anything from the grocery store next door. There was no laundry fight. There was no screaming. I hadn't even seen Mom until dinner, when she'd asked about my day and I'd told her about the productive job search session I'd had. But our entire family now believed I was emotionally abusing my widowed mother. I kept scrolling through the group chat, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. The messages went back months. Asterisk Mom, September 3rd, 2:18 p.m. Sarah's been bringing men over at all hours. I'm uncomfortable but afraid to say anything because of how she reacts to criticism. Asterisk. Asterisk Aunt Linda, 2:25 p.m. Men? Plural, asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 2:27 p.m. Different guys every few weeks. I hear them talking loudly, sometimes until 2 a.m. Yesterday I found beer bottles in the living room. Asterisk. Asterisk Uncle Jerry, 2:31 p.m. That's completely inappropriate. It's your house. Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 2:33 p.m. I know, but when I tried to bring it up gently, she said I was being controlling and sex negative. I don't know how to handle this new side of her. Asterisk. I wanted to throw the phone across the room. September 3rd, that was the day after I'd had my study group over to prep for my teaching certification exam. 3 people, all women from my program. We'd ordered pizza and reviewed flashcards until about 10 p.m. The beer bottles were actually sparkling water cans that I'd forgotten to put in recycling. Mom had even joined us for pizza and said she enjoyed meeting Mike's smart, ambitious friends. But somehow that became a story about me bringing random men home for hookups and disrespecting her house. Asterisk Grandma Rose, September 3rd, 6:45 p.m. This is what happens when you don't set firm boundaries early. She's walking all over you. Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 6:50 p.m. I feel like I failed as a mother. How did I raise someone who treats me this way? Asterisk. Asterisk Cousin Mike, 6:55 p.m. You didn't fail, Aunt Carol. Some people just take advantage of kindness. Asterisk. Asterisk Cousin Jessica, 7:12 p.m. I can't believe Sarah would do this to you. After everything you've done for her. Asterisk. Jessica. My closest cousin, only 2 years older than me. We'd grown up like sisters, but she'd been distant lately. Now I knew why. She thought I was some kind of manipulative monster who was tormenting my grieving mother. I found a private thread between Mom and Jessica from last week. Asterisk Mom, 10:33 a.m. I'm scared to be alone in the house with Sarah anymore. She has these mood swings where she gets this look in her eyes. It reminds me of how your grandfather used to look before he'd explode. Asterisk. Grandfather, Dad's father, had been an alcoholic with a violent temper. The comparison made my blood turn to ice. Mom was telling Jessica that I reminded her of an abusive drunk. Asterisk Jessica, 10:41 a.m. Aunt Carol, that's really serious. Have you thought about asking her to leave? Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 10:45 a.m. Where would she go? Despite everything, she's still my daughter. I can't just throw her out on the streets. Asterisk. Asterisk Jessica, 10:50 a.m. You're too good to her. She's lucky to have you. Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 10:52 a.m. Sometimes I wonder if your dad was right about me being too soft. But I keep hoping the real Sarah will come back. The sweet girl I raised is still in there somewhere. Asterisk. The real Sarah. As if the person I believed myself to be was just an act, and the real me was this volatile, abusive freeloader who terrorized my own mother. My phone buzzer again. A text in our family group chat, the one I was actually in. Asterisk Aunt Linda, who's coming to Mom's 80th birthday dinner Sunday? Making reservations at Romano's. Asterisk. I watched the responses come in. Uncle Jerry, Karen and I will be there. Cousin Mike, wouldn't miss it. Jessica, definitely coming. Asterisk Mom, so excited to celebrate with everyone. Red heart. Asterisk. I started typing a response, then stopped. They didn't want me there. How could they? They thought I was abusing Mom, bringing strange men home, screaming at her for asking me to do laundry. They were probably only including me in the group chat out of obligation. I scrolled back to the family updates chat I wasn't supposed to see. Asterisk Mom, last Tuesday 8:20 p.m. I don't think I can handle Sarah being at Mom's birthday dinner. She's been especially difficult this week, and I don't want to ruin everyone's celebration. Asterisk. Aunt Linda, 8:25 p.m. What if we have it when she's not available? Uncle Jerry, 8:28 p.m. Or maybe someone should finally tell her how her behavior affects people. Asterisk Mom, 8:30 p.m. I just want one peaceful family gathering. Is that too much to ask? Asterisk. Asterisk Grandma Rose, 8:35 p.m. It's my party. I should be able to enjoy it without walking on eggshells. Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 8:38 p.m. I'll figure something out. Maybe I can suggest she has other plans that day. Asterisk. They were planning to exclude me from Grandma's 80th birthday. My own grandmother, who I'd visited every Sunday for the past 5 years, who I'd helped move into her new apartment last spring, who used to call me her special girl. Now she thought she needed to walk on eggshells around me. I heard Mom's key in the front door and quickly closed the messaging app, my heart hammering. Her footsteps approached the kitchen. Hi, sweetheart. How was your day? She smiled warmly, setting her purse on the counter right next to where her old phone was charging. Did you eat? I can heat up that pasta for you. I stared at her, this woman who'd been systematically destroying my relationships and reputation for months while smiling to my face and calling me her best friend. I'm not really hungry, I managed. You sure? You need to keep your strength up for those interviews this week. She moved to the fridge, completely oblivious to the bomb I'd just discovered. Oh, and Linda texted about Grandma's birthday dinner. Should be fun. The casual way she said it, knowing she'd been plotting to exclude me, made my stomach lurch. Yeah, I whispered. Should be great. I should get some sleep, I said, grabbing the old iPhone and slipping it into my hoodie pocket. Job interview prep and all. Mom beamed at me. That's my responsible girl. I'm so proud of how hard you're working. She kissed my forehead, and I had to fight not to flinch. Sweet dreams, honey. I made it to my room before the tears started. Sitting on my bed, I opened the phone again, telling myself I'd seen enough. But it was like picking at a scab, I couldn't stop. I found another thread I'd missed, this one with someone called Dr. Martinez. My stomach dropped. Dr. Martinez was Mom's therapist. She'd started seeing her 6 months ago for what she told me was grief counseling after a particularly hard anniversary of Dad's death. Asterisk Mom, 2 weeks ago, 11:45 a.m. Sarah's exhibiting more concerning behaviors. Yesterday she went through my mail and questioned why I donated to the animal shelter. Asterisk. Dr. Martinez, 2:30 p.m. How did that make you feel? Asterisk Mom, 2:35 p.m. Violated. It's like she's monitoring my every move. I can't even spend my own money without her judgment. Asterisk. Asterisk Dr. Martinez, 2:40 p.m. Have you considered that this might be financial abuse? Adult children who control or monitor their parents' finances often escalate to other controlling behaviors. Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 2:45 p.m. I never thought of it that way, but it makes sense. She gets angry when I spend money on myself but expects me to pay for everything she needs. Asterisk. The mail incident. I'd signed for a package while Mom was at work and mentioned the thank you letter from the animal shelter was really sweet. I'd said it made me happy that she was supporting causes she cared about, even when money was tight. But she'd turned it into evidence of financial abuse to her therapist. Asterisk Dr. Martinez, 3:15 p.m. It's important to document these incidents. Consider writing down specific examples of controlling or manipulative behavior. Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 3:20 p.m. Should I be worried about escalation? Sometimes I catch her looking at me strangely. Asterisk Dr. Martinez, 3:25 p.m. Trust your instincts. If you ever feel unsafe, you have options. Asterisk. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely read. Mom's therapist thought I was financially abusing her. A licensed professional was advising my mother to document my controlling behavior and consider safety planning. I scrolled up to see how long this had been going on. Asterisk Mom, 6 weeks ago, for 22 p.m. I think Sarah might be reading my texts. She made a comment about my pottery class that seemed oddly specific. Asterisk. The pottery class comment, I'd asked how her project was going because she'd mentioned struggling with the glazing technique. But Mom had interpreted my interest as surveillance. Asterisk Dr. Martinez, 4:30 p.m. That's a significant violation of privacy. How are you protecting your personal information? Asterisk. Mom, 4:35 p.m. I've started deleting messages, but I'm worried about what else she might be monitoring. The irony was suffocating. She was deleting messages to hide her lies from me while telling her therapist I was the one violating her privacy. Dr. Martinez, 4:45 p.m. Consider changing passwords and perhaps having a conversation about boundaries. Asterisk Mom, 4:50 p.m. I'm afraid of her reaction. She doesn't handle confrontation well. Asterisk Dr. Martinez, 4:55 p.m. That fear response is telling, Carol. It suggests this dynamic has affected your sense of safety in your own home. Asterisk. I wanted to scream. Mom had weaponized therapy itself, turning sessions meant to help her process grief into ammunition against me. Dr. Martinez was forming professional opinions about my mental state based on complete fabrications. A new message thread caught my eye, one with my own name as the contact. Confused, I opened it and realized it was Mom texting my number from her old phone, messages I'd never received because the phone hadn't been active. Mom, yesterday, 11:30 p.m. I know you're probably asleep, but I wanted to tell you something when I have the courage to be completely honest. My heart stopped. Asterisk Mom, 11:32 p.m. I've been talking to family about our situation, and I think I've been unfair to you. Not in what I've told them, that's all true, but in not giving you the chance to hear their perspective on your behavior. Asterisk Mom, 11:35 p.m. Mike thinks an intervention might help. Linda suggested tough love. Maybe they're right. Asterisk Mom, 11:38 p.m. I love you, but I can't keep protecting you from the consequences of your choices. Everyone sees what I see, Sarah. It's time you knew that. Asterisk Mom, 11:42 p.m. Sunday at Grandma's birthday. I think we need to have an honest family conversation. It might be hard to hear, but people who love you are going to tell you some difficult truths. Asterisk Mom, 11:45 p.m. I hope someday you'll thank me for this. The birthday dinner. It wasn't just about excluding me, it was a setup. An ambush where my entire family would confront me about behavior that existed only in Mom's deleted messages. I was going to walk into that restaurant expecting to celebrate Grandma's 80th birthday, and instead face a room full of people who believed I was emotionally and financially abusing my widowed mother. I sat there staring at those unsent messages until my eyes burned. An intervention. They were planning an intervention based on lies. I needed to know how deep this went. Opening a new thread, I found messages with Mom's sister in Phoenix, Aunt Marie, who I barely talked to but who always sent birthday cards. Asterisk Mom, last month, 3:17 p.m. I hate to burden you with this, but I'm really struggling with Sarah. She's developed some concerning behaviors since moving back home. Asterisk Aunt Marie, 3:45 p.m. What kind of behaviors? Asterisk Mom, 3:50 p.m. Lying, mostly. She'll tell me she's job hunting, but I'll find her sleeping at 2 p.m. Yesterday she claimed she had an interview, but when I asked about it later, her story didn't add up. Asterisk Aunt Marie, 4:02 p.m. That doesn't sound like the Sarah I remember. Asterisk Mom, 4:05 p.m. That's what makes this so hard. She's gotten very good at presenting different faces to different people. You should see how charming she is when neighbors visit. But the moment we're alone, the mask comes off. Asterisk The interview Mom was referring to had been a phone screening that lasted 15 minutes, shorter than expected because they'd already filled the position internally but were required to interview external candidates. When she'd asked how it went, I'd explained it was brief but that I'd learned something about their company culture. She'd nodded sympathetically and made me tea. But to Aunt Marie, I was a pathological liar who wore masks and manipulated people. Aunt Marie, for 20 p.m. Have you considered that she might need professional help? Asterisk Mom, for 25 p.m. I've suggested it, but she gets defensive. Says I'm pathologizing normal stress and that therapy is for people with real problems. Asterisk I'd never said anything remotely like that. Mom had mentioned therapy might help with my job search anxiety, and I'd said I'd think about it once I had insurance again. She'd said that was smart financial planning. Asterisk Mom, for 30 p.m. The worst part is how she twists conversations. She'll say something cruel, then later insist she never said it or claim I misunderstood. Sometimes I wonder if I'm losing my mind. Asterisk Aunt Marie, for 35 p.m. That's gaslighting, Carol. It's a form of emotional abuse. Asterisk My blood ran cold. Mom was telling people I was gaslighting her. The woman who was systematically lying about every interaction we'd had was accusing me of making her question her own reality. Asterisk Mom, for 40 p.m. I looked that up after you mentioned it last time. The description fits perfectly. She'll do something hurtful, then act like I'm crazy for being upset about it. Asterisk Last time? I scrolled up to find earlier messages between them. Asterisk Mom, 3 months ago, 6:15 p.m. Sarah threw a tantrum today because I asked her to contribute more to household expenses. She screamed that I was financially manipulating her and stormed out. Asterisk Aunt Marie, 6:22 p.m. A tantrum? She's 24 years old. Asterisk Mom, 6:25 p.m. That's what I mean about the emotional immaturity. She acts like a teenager when she doesn't get her way. Asterisk 3 months ago. I remembered the conversation Mom was referencing. She'd mentioned wanting to upgrade our internet plan since I was home more, and I'd offered to cover the difference in cost. We'd looked at options together and decided on a plan that was $30 more per month. I'd given her my debit card to call and set it up. But somehow that had become me throwing a tantrum about contributing to expenses. Asterisk Mom, 6:30 p.m. Then she came back 2 hours later with flowers and acted like nothing happened. It's this cycle of explosion, then love bombing to make me forget how badly she treated me. Asterisk. The flowers. I'd stopped at the grocery store and seen sunflowers, Mom's favorite, marked down because they were slightly wilted. I'd bought them because they made me think of her, and she'd cried happy tears when I brought them home. She'd said they brightened up the whole kitchen. But to Aunt Marie, it was love bombing, a manipulation tactic used by abusers. I found myself scrolling faster, desperate to see how far back this went, how long Mom had been constructing this alternate version of our life. The messages went back 8 months, almost to the day I graduated and moved home. Asterisk Mom, 8 months ago, 2:43 p.m. Sarah moved back in today. I love her, but I'm already seeing some red flags about her expectations. Asterisk. Aunt Marie, 3:15 p.m. What kind of red flags? Asterisk Mom, 3:20 p.m. She wants to rearrange the furniture in the living room to make it more functional. It feels like she's trying to take over my space. Asterisk. Asterisk Aunt Marie, 3:25 p.m. That's your home. She's a guest there. Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 3:30 p.m. Try telling her that. She gets this look when I push back, like she's calculating something. Asterisk. Moving day. I'd suggested angling the couch differently so we could both watch TV comfortably when I was job searching on my laptop. Mom had said it was a great idea and we'd spent the afternoon rearranging things together, laughing when we couldn't get the coffee table positioned right. She'd taken pictures of the new and improved living room and posted them on Facebook with the caption, Sarah's brilliant design skills made our space so much more cozy. But privately, she was telling her sister I was territorial and manipulative. My phone buzzed with a text from Jessica, asterisk K. Want to grab coffee tomorrow? Feel like we haven't talked in forever. Asterisk. I stared at the message, remembering what Mom had told her about me being dangerous, about having that look like our abusive grandfather. Was Jessica reaching out because she was worried about Mom? Was this part of some coordinated effort to assess my mental state before the birthday intervention? I typed and deleted 3 different responses, finally settling on, sure, that sounds great. But my hands were shaking as I sent it. How was I supposed to sit across from my cousin who used to tell me everything, who'd helped me pick out my college dorm decorations, knowing she thought I was abusing my own mother? I opened one more thread, this one with someone labeled Tom M. It took me a minute to place a name, Tom Martinez, Dr. Martinez's husband, who ran the grief support group Mom had attended a few months after I'd moved home. Asterisk Mom, 6 weeks ago, 4:45 p.m. I don't think I can come to group anymore. Sarah gets suspicious when I'm gone too long, and she interrogates me about where I've been. Asterisk. Asterisk Tom M, 5:20 p.m. I'm sorry to hear that, Carol. Support is especially important when you're dealing with complicated family dynamics. Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 5:25 p.m. She says she's worried about me driving at night, but it feels controlling. Like she doesn't want me to have relationships outside of her. Asterisk. The night she was referencing, Mom had texted me at 9 p.m. that group was running late and she might not be home until 10:30. I texted back telling her to drive safely and that I'd left the porch light on. When she got home, I'd asked if she wanted tea while she unwound from what sounded like an emotional session. But she'd told Tom Martinez I was interrogating her and trying to isolate her from her support system. Asterisk Tom M, 5:30 p.m. That level of control over a parent's activities is concerning. Have you talked to Maria about this? Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 5:35 p.m. She's helping me see the patterns. It's hard to accept that my own daughter might be, well, you know, asterisk. Asterisk Tom M, 5:40 p.m. Abuse can happen in any relationship, Carol. The hardest part is often admitting it to ourselves. Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, 5:45 p.m. I feel so stupid. The signs were probably there all along, but I didn't want to see them. Asterisk. I dropped the phone like it had burned me. Mom had convinced her therapist's husband, her sisters, her mother, her brother, my cousins, her coworkers, and probably half the people in her life that I was abusing her. And in 3 days, they were all going to try to save her from me. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those messages, heard Dr. Martinez's voice saying financial abuse and trust your instincts. By 3 a.m., I was back on the phone, scrolling through threads I'd somehow missed. That's when I found the photos. Mom had been sending pictures to support her stories. Dozens of them, carefully curated to make me look unstable or slovenly. A shot of my unmade bed with the caption, this is what depression cleaning looks like, she hasn't washed her sheets in weeks. The bed I'd stripped that morning to wash the sheets, caught in the 30 seconds between pulling off the old ones and putting on fresh ones. A photo of dishes in the sink, guess who cooked dinner and left me to clean up again? Those were the prep dishes from when I'd made Mom's favorite lasagna as a surprise. She'd taken the picture before I could finish cleaning up, while the lasagna was still in the oven. But the worst was a picture of me sleeping on the couch at 1 p.m., sent to Grandma Rose with a message, she was up until 4 a.m. watching Netflix and expects me to tiptoe around the house so she can sleep all day. I remembered that day perfectly. I'd been up until 4 a.m., but not watching Netflix. I'd been on a video call with a potential employer in Singapore, working around the time zone difference. Mom had been so excited about the opportunity that she'd stayed up too, bringing me coffee and giving me encouraging thumbs-ups from the kitchen. The interview had gone well, and we'd both been giddy with exhaustion afterward. I'd napped on the couch the next afternoon because I'd crashed from the adrenaline. Mom had even covered me with a blanket and whispered that she was proud of me for working so hard. But the photo showed none of that context. Just me, unconscious at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday, looking exactly like the lazy freeloader she described to everyone. My stomach lurched as I scrolled through more photos. Me crying during a panic attack, sent to Dr. Martinez with a caption, another episode because I asked her to take out the trash. Me laughing at something on my phone, sent to Aunt Linda, she thinks her unemployment is hilarious while I stress about bills. She'd been documenting our life like a private investigator building a case, turning every vulnerable moment into evidence of my supposed dysfunction. I found a voice message thread with someone labeled Crisis Hotline. My blood turned to ice as I pressed play. Hi, this is Carol Williams. I called last week about my daughter. Mom's voice was shaky, tearful. Things had escalated. Tonight she cornered me in the kitchen and started yelling about money. She said if I can't afford to support her properly, maybe she should just leave, but then immediately started crying and saying she had nowhere to go. It felt like emotional blackmail. The recording was dated 4 days ago. 4 days ago, I'd made dinner and casually mentioned that I'd gotten a callback for a job that would let me finally contribute more to household expenses. I'd gotten excited talking about how nice it would be to take some financial pressure off her, and then worried out loud about what would happen if it didn't work out, where I'd go, what I'd do. Mom had hugged me and said she'd never let me end up with nowhere to go, that we'd figure everything out together no matter what happened with the job. But she'd called a crisis hotline and reported it as emotional blackmail. The counselor's voice came through the phone. It sounds like you're in a very difficult situation, Carol. Have you considered contacting Adult Protective Services? Sometimes family members don't realize they're being manipulative. I don't want to get her in trouble, Mom replied. She's still my daughter. But I'm documenting everything now, just in case. Adult Protective Services. She was considering reporting me to APS for elder abuse. I was 24 years old, and my mother was building a case to have me investigated for abusing her. My hands shook as I scrolled to the most recent messages, once from yesterday, after she'd texted me about being late from book club. A new thread with Aunt Linda, Sarah was acting strange when I got home tonight. Very quiet, wouldn't make eye contact. I'm wondering if she went through my things while I was out, Aunt Linda, that's violating. Have you considered putting a lock on your bedroom door, Mom, I hate that it's come to this, but I might have to. I can't live in fear in my own home, And then, in the crisis hotline thread, another voice message from 11 p.m. last night, right after she'd kissed my forehead and called me her responsible girl. She's definitely suspicious about something. She had this look tonight, like she knows I'm onto her patterns. I'm worried she might escalate if she feels cornered. The counselor I'm seeing thinks people like Sarah can become dangerous when they feel their control slipping. People like Sarah. As if I were a clinical case study instead of her daughter. I heard footsteps in the hallway and quickly closed the phone app, my heart hammering. Mom's bedroom door creaked open. Sarah? Are you awake, honey? Her voice was soft, concerned. I held my breath, pretending to sleep, and after a moment I heard her door close again. But 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed with a notification. Another message to the crisis line. Mom, 3:47 a.m. I can hear her moving around in there. She's awake but pretending to sleep when I check on her. This is exactly the kind of deceptive behavior I was telling you about, She was monitoring me in real time, turning my insomnia into more evidence of manipulation. I stared at the ceiling, clutching her old phone, and realized that Sunday's birthday dinner wasn't just an ambush, it was the culmination of an 8-month campaign to systematically destroy my credibility and relationships while positioning herself as my victim. And I had less than 4 days to figure out what to do about it. The screenshots were already backed up to 3 different cloud accounts by Thursday morning. I'd spent most of the night methodically documenting everything, organizing the messages by family member, by date, by type of accusation. The evidence was overwhelming, 847 deleted messages across 23 different contacts, spanning 8 months of systematic character assassination. But as I sat in the coffee shop waiting for Jessica, I realized having proof and knowing what to do with it were two completely different problems. Jessica walked in at exactly 2 p.m., her blonde hair in the same messy bun she'd worn since high school. For a moment, seeing her smile and wave, I could almost pretend things were normal. That she didn't think I was an abusive sociopath who terrorized our grief-stricken aunt. God, it's been forever, she said, sliding into the booth across from me. You look tired. Everything okay? She's assessing me, I thought, remembering Mom's messages about my mood swings and concerning behavior. Every word Jessica spoke could be filtered through months of poisonous context. Just job search stress, I said, forcing a smile. You know how it is. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that. Jessica's expression shifted, becoming more serious. I've been worried about you. About how you're coping with everything. There it was. This wasn't a cousin coffee date, it was reconnaissance. Coping with what, exactly? I kept my voice light, curious. Jessica hesitated, stirring her latte unnecessarily. Living at home, unemployment, the stress you're putting on Aunt Carol. She's been. She paused, choosing her words carefully. She's been really worried about you lately. I felt that familiar steel band tighten around my chest. Worried how? Sarah, come on. You know she loves you, but she's been struggling. Financially, emotionally. And some of the things you've been doing. What things? The question came out sharper than I intended. Jessica's eyes widened slightly, the same look Mom probably interpreted as me getting aggressive when confronted. The mood swings, the way you react when she tries to set boundaries. Yesterday she told my mom you screamed at her about laundry. Yesterday. The fictional laundry fight that happened while I was at the library. I could show Jessica my location data, my library checkout receipts, the photos I'd taken of my research notes. I could prove I wasn't even home when this alleged screaming match occurred. But what would that accomplish? Jessica would just think I was an even more sophisticated liar. I didn't scream at her about laundry, I said quietly. Then why would she say you did? The question hung between us like a challenge. Why would a grieving mother lie about her own daughter? What possible motivation could she have? Jessica's logic was flawless. If you didn't know about the deleted messages, the financial manipulations, the 8 months of carefully constructed narrative. Maybe there was a misunderstanding, I said. That's what you always say. Jessica leaned forward, her voice dropping. Every time someone tries to talk to you about your behavior, it's a misunderstanding or people are overreacting or taking things out of context. When does it stop being everyone else's fault? I stared at her, this person who used to call me her favorite cousin, who'd helped me practice job interview answers just 6 months ago. Mom had turned even Jessica against me so thoroughly that she was parroting therapy speak about accountability and denial. Sunday at Grandma's party, Jessica continued, we're all going to be there. And I think some people might want to have an honest conversation with you about how your actions are affecting the family. So she knew about the intervention. Of course she did, she was probably helping plan it. An honest conversation, I repeated. Sarah, we love you. But Aunt Carol is exhausted, Grandma Rose is stressed about the family drama, and Uncle Jerry thinks maybe you need professional help. We can't just watch you spiral and take everyone down with you. Professional help. They'd moved from thinking I was lazy and ungrateful to believing I was mentally ill and dangerous. The progression made perfect sense if you'd been receiving Mom's carefully crafted updates for months. What if I told you that everything you think you know about my behavior is based on lies? I asked. Jessica's expression hardened. See, this is exactly what Aunt Carol warned us about. You can't take responsibility for anything. It's always someone else lying, someone else misunderstanding, someone else's fault. The irony was staggering. Mom had preemptively discredited any defense I might offer by characterizing accountability as my core weakness. If I denied her accusations, that just proved I was manipulative. If I got emotional, that proved I was unstable. If I stayed calm, that proved I was calculating. She'd constructed the perfect trap. I have to ask you something, I said, pulling out my phone. And I need you to really think about your answer. Jessica tensed, probably expecting another manipulation tactic. In the past 8 months, have you personally witnessed me doing any of the things you just accused me of? Not heard about them, not been told about them, actually seen them yourself? She was quiet for a long moment, and I could see her mentally scrolling through our interactions. The study group that became men at all hours. The interview outfit that became spending money on clothes instead of bills. The sunflowers that became love bombing after emotional abuse. She started, then stopped. Aunt Carol wouldn't lie about something like this, Sarah. She's your mother. That's not what I asked. Jessica stood up abruptly, her coffee barely touched. I can't do this with you right now. But Sunday, we're going to figure this out Sunday. As a family. She left me sitting there with the weight of what was coming. In 3 days, I'd walk into that restaurant expecting to celebrate my grandmother's 80th birthday. Instead, I'd face a coordinated attack from people who'd been fed 8 months of lies about my character, my mental state, and my treatment of my own mother. Unless I did something first. I opened Mom's old phone and started forwarding screenshots to myself. It was time to decide, stay silent and let them destroy me, or blow up the entire family by exposing what Mom had really been doing. Either way, Sunday was going to change everything. I stared at my phone screen, cursor blinking in the group text where Aunt Linda had asked about Grandma's birthday dinner. Everyone else had responded enthusiastically. Everyone except me. The smart play would be to show up Sunday and let them ambush me. Record the whole thing on my phone, let them reveal just how much they'd coordinated behind my back. But 3 days felt like an eternity when every interaction with Mom was now loaded with subtext I could actually see. That evening, she made my favorite dinner, chicken parmesan with garlic bread, and I found myself analyzing her every move. Was this genuine affection, or was she documenting my ungrateful response to send to Dr. Martinez later? You've been quiet today, sweetheart, she said, refilling my water glass. Everything okay? I watched her face carefully. The concerned mother expression looked identical to every other time she'd asked that question, but now I knew about the crisis hotline calls describing Mike's suspicious behavior and deceptive patterns. Just thinking about Sunday, I said. I'm excited to celebrate Grandma. Something flickered in her eyes, so briefly I might have imagined it. Oh, that'll be wonderful. She's been so looking forward to having everyone together. Everyone. Including me, the granddaughter she supposedly needed safety planning to deal with. My phone buzzed with a text from Mike, *K, can you call me when you get a chance? Want to run something by you, *. The cousin who'd been sending Mom money based on lies about me spending bill money on clothes. The one who'd suggested an ultimatum, tough love, maybe even an intervention. I excused myself and called him back, my heart hammering. Sarah. Thanks for calling. Mike's voice was warm, familiar. Listen, I wanted to give you a heads up about something. Here it comes, I thought. The pre-intervention intervention. Uncle Jerry and I were talking, and we think it might be time for you to consider moving out of Aunt Carol's place. I gripped the phone tighter. Moving out? Don't take this the wrong way, we all love you. But she's been really struggling, financially and emotionally, and having an adult child at home is just adding to her stress. Has she told you she wants me to leave? I asked carefully. She'd never say that directly, you know how she is. Too nice for her own good. But Sarah, she borrowed $300 from me last month because you spent your contribution money on clothes instead of helping with bills. The lie rolled off his tongue so easily, delivered with such genuine concern. Mike really believed he was helping both of us, getting me the tough love I needed while protecting his vulnerable aunt from her manipulative daughter. I gave her $600 that month, I said quietly. $400 like always, plus extra for the electric bill. And I bought one interview outfit for $85. That's... Mike paused. That's not what she told me. I can show you the Venmo transfers if you want. The silence stretched between us. I could practically hear him trying to reconcile the math, the timeline, the story he'd been fed against what I was telling him. Maybe there was some confusion about the amounts, he said finally, but his voice had lost some of its certainty. Mike, what else has she told you about me? Another pause. Longer this time. Sarah, if there's something going on that we don't understand. There is, I said. And I think Sunday's dinner is going to be very educational for everyone. After I hung up, I found Mom loading the dishwasher, humming softly. She looked up when I entered the kitchen, smile brightening. How's Mike doing? I hadn't talked to him in ages. She was fishing, trying to figure out if he'd told me about Sunday's plan. The performance was flawless, just the right amount of casual interest, motherly affection, complete innocence. He's good, I said. We had an interesting conversation about money. Her hand stilled on the dish she was loading, just for a second. Oh? Yeah. About that $300 you borrowed from him last month. Mom's face shifted through several micro-expressions before settling on confused concern. Borrowed? Oh, sweetie, I think there might be some misunderstanding. I haven't borrowed money from Mike. She was lying directly to my face, 30 minutes after I'd spoken to Mike about the exact transaction. And she was doing it with the same loving tone she'd used to call me her best friend. Interesting, I said. I'll have to ask him about that. As I headed toward my room, I heard her phone buzzing behind me. Probably already texting Mike about my confrontational behavior and suspicious questions about family finances. 2 more days until Sunday. 2 more days to decide whether to let them destroy me, or destroy them first. The screenshots were ready. The truth was documented. I just had to choose who to send them to. I woke up Friday morning to find Mom gone and a note on the kitchen counter, emergency at work, back tonight. Love you, with a little heart drawn next to my name. The same heart she'd been using in texts while simultaneously building a case for Adult Protective Services. But her car was still in the driveway. I checked the Find My app we'd set up after Dad died for emergencies. Her phone was at Dr. Martinez's office. At 7:30 a.m. on a Friday morning, 40 minutes before the practice officially opened. An emergency therapy session. About me. My hands trembling, I opened her old phone and found exactly what I expected, a crisis hotline call from 2:47 a.m. This is Carol Williams again. She confronted me tonight about money, asking specific questions about transactions with my nephew. She knew details she shouldn't know, like exact amounts and dates. I think she might be monitoring my financial accounts somehow. The recording made my stomach lurch. Mom had turned my conversation with Mike, where I'd simply stated facts, into evidence of financial stalking. The crisis counselor's voice: Carol, this escalation is concerning. Have you secured your banking information? I changed all my passwords last night, but I'm scared about what she might do if she realizes I've cut off her access. She gets this look when she's cornered, cold, calculating. Nothing like the daughter I raised. Cold and calculating. The mother who used to brag about my mature problem-solving skills was now pathologizing those same traits to mental health professionals. I have an emergency session with my therapist this morning. I need help figuring out how to handle Sunday safely. Sunday. The birthday intervention was now being planned as a mental health crisis management situation. I called Jessica, my heart pounding. Sarah? It's pretty early. I need to ask you something, and I need a completely honest answer. What exactly are you all planning for Sunday? The pause told me everything. What do you mean? Jessica, please. Mike already slipped up about wanting to run something by me, and now Mom's having emergency therapy sessions about how to handle Sunday safely. Just tell me the truth. Another long silence. Then, we're worried about you. And we're worried about Aunt Carol. Some of us think maybe it's time for some tough conversations. Some of you? Sarah, everyone's seen the changes. The way you've been treating her, the financial stuff, the mood swings. Uncle Jerry thinks you might need professional help, and Dr. Martinez suggested that family intervention might be necessary if you won't get help voluntarily. Dr. Martinez. Mom's therapist was actively participating in planning my ambush, based entirely on Mom's fabricated stories. Professional help for what, exactly? For whatever's making you. Jessica's voice got smaller. Making you hurt people who love you. The words hit like a physical blow. My own cousin genuinely believed I was abusive. What if I told you I could prove that everything you think you know about my behavior is a lie? Sarah, this is exactly what Aunt Carol said you do. Deny everything, claim everyone else is lying, try to make her look like the bad guy. It's textbook manipulation. Textbook manipulation. Mom had even coached them on how to interpret my potential responses. Bring a notebook Sunday, I said quietly. What? To Grandma's party. Bring a notebook and a pen. You're going to want to take notes. I hung up before she could respond and immediately started forwarding screenshots. Not to the family, not yet. To my own email, with detailed timestamps and explanations. If Sunday went sideways, if they tried to have me committed or reported to authorities, I needed ironclad documentation ready to go. At 11 a.m., Mom's location showed her leaving Dr. Martinez's office. 30 minutes later, she was at Uncle Jerry's house. By noon, I had texts from 3 different family members. Aunt Linda, asterisk, can we talk before Sunday? I'm concerned about some things, asterisk. Grandma Rose, asterisk, sweetheart, your mother is very worried about you. Maybe we should have a quiet lunch, just us girls, asterisk. Uncle Jerry, Sarah, I think you and I need to have a man-to-man conversation about respect and responsibility. They were circling the wagons, coordinating their approach. Mom had spent the morning weaponizing her therapy session into a family-wide crisis response. But she'd made one critical mistake. She'd forgotten that her old phone was still syncing to her Apple Watch. At 12:47 p.m., I watched a new voice memo appear in her thread with Dr. Martinez. The family's on board for Sunday. Jerry thinks we should be direct about the financial abuse, and Linda's going to handle the emotional manipulation piece. We're hoping that hearing it from everyone at once might break through her denial. Financial abuse. Emotional manipulation. Denial. I was going to walk into my grandmother's 80th birthday party and face a coordinated psychological intervention based on 8 months of systematic lies. But now I had something Mom didn't know I had, real-time access to their entire strategy. Sunday was going to be very interesting indeed. Friday evening, Mom came home with takeout from my favorite Thai place and that same bright smile she'd been wearing for months while destroying my life behind the scenes. Thought we could have a girls' night, she said, unpacking pad Thai and spring rolls. You seem stressed this morning. I watched her arrange the containers on our kitchen table, the same table where she'd kissed my forehead and called me her responsible girl before recording a crisis hotline message about my deceptive behavior. The cognitive dissonance was making me nauseous. How was work? I asked, knowing she'd spent the morning strategizing my psychological intervention with her therapist and half our family. Oh, you know. Same old Friday chaos. She settled into her chair, tucking one leg under herself like she always did. Dr. Martinez says hi, by the way. I mentioned you in therapy today. The casual way she said it, as if she hadn't spent 2 hours planning how to handle me safely at Sunday's dinner, made my skin crawl. What did you tell her about me? Mom's chopsticks paused halfway to her mouth. Just that you've been under a lot of stress with the job search. She thinks family support is really important during difficult transitions. Family support. Is that what they were calling a coordinated ambush based on fabricated evidence? That's thoughtful of her, I said. What kind of support did she suggest? Oh, just being patient. Understanding that sometimes people lash out when they're struggling. Mom reached across to squeeze my hand. She reminded me that underneath all the anger and defensiveness, you're still my little girl who needs love. Anger and defensiveness. She was priming me in real time, setting up the narrative that would justify whatever happened Sunday. My phone buzzed with a text from Grandma Rose, asterisk looking forward to seeing everyone Sunday. It's been too long since we've all been together, asterisk. All been together. For an 80th birthday party that had morphed into a family crisis intervention. Grandma seems excited about Sunday, I said, showing Mom the text. Something flickered across her face, guilt, maybe, or fear. She is. Although. Mom set down her chopsticks and sighed. I hope the stress of everyone being there won't be too much for her. You know how she worries about family harmony. What kind of stress? Well, if there are any, difficult conversations. I just don't want to ruin her special day. Difficult conversations. She was already laying groundwork for why Sunday's intervention was my fault, why any family drama that resulted was because I couldn't handle people trying to help me. Mom, I said carefully, are you planning something for Sunday that I should know about? Her eyes widened with what looked like genuine surprise. Planning something? Sweetheart, it's just Grandma's birthday dinner. Why would you think? She stopped, studying my face. Has someone said something to you? The concern in her voice sounded so real, so motherly. If I didn't know about the deleted messages, the crisis hotline calls, the emergency therapy sessions, I'd believe she was just worried about my paranoia. Mike mentioned that maybe I should think about moving out, I said. Mom's face crumpled. Oh honey, no. Is that what this is about? You think we're all conspiring against you? The word choice was perfect. Conspiring implied delusion, paranoia, the kind of thinking that justified family intervention. He said you've been struggling financially because of me. I would never. Mom's voice broke slightly. Sarah, if I've made you feel unwelcome here, I'm so sorry. The last thing I want is for you to think your own family doesn't want you around. She was good. Really good. The trembling voice, the tears gathering in her eyes, the perfect mix of hurt and confusion. If I'd confronted her without evidence, she could have gaslit me into believing I'd imagined everything. So you haven't talked to anyone about me moving out? The only thing I've ever said to anyone is that I'm worried about you. About the stress you're under, the way you've been. She gestured helplessly. Different lately. But that's because I love you, not because I want you gone. Different lately. There it was, the foundation for everything that would happen Sunday. I wasn't unemployed and stressed, I was different. Not struggling, unstable. Not defending myself, being manipulative. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number, asterisk this is Dr. Martinez. Your mother has expressed some concerns about your well-being. Would you be open to a conversation, asterisk? I stared at the message, my blood turning to ice. Mom's therapist was now contacting me directly, probably as part of their crisis management strategy for Sunday. Who's texting you? Mom asked, trying to peer at my screen. Dr. Martinez, I said, watching her face carefully. She wants to talk to me. Mom's expression shifted through surprise, concern, and something else, something that looked like panic. Oh. That's. I mean, if you think it would help. She fumbled for words. She's very good at helping families communicate better. Families. Not individuals. Dr. Martinez wasn't reaching out to help me, she was coordinating the intervention. I think I'll take her up on that, I said. Mom nodded, but her smile looked strained. That's wonderful, sweetheart. Really wonderful. But as soon as I left the kitchen, I heard her phone buzzing frantically. Probably warning Dr. Martinez that I'd agreed to talk, asking for guidance on this unexpected development. Sunday was 48 hours away. And now I knew they weren't just planning to ambush me, they were planning to use a licensed therapist to do it. Time to change the game entirely. I called Dr. Martinez back at 8 p.m., after Mom had gone to bed with what she claimed was a stress headache, though I'd watched her pace around the living room for an hour, phone pressed to her ear in hushed conversations. Sarah, thank you for reaching out, Dr. Martinez said, her voice professionally warm. Your mother has shared some concerns about family dynamics, and I thought it might be helpful to get your perspective. Family dynamics. Not your mental health or your behavior, she was being careful with her language. I'd be happy to share my perspective, I said. When would be good for you? Actually, I have an opening tomorrow at 2 p.m. Would that work? Tomorrow. Saturday. One day before the birthday intervention. The timing wasn't coincidental. That's perfect, I said. Should I come to your office? Yes, and Sarah? I want you to know this is a safe space for you to share whatever you're experiencing at home. Sometimes family members have very different views of the same situations. After I hung up, I spent 3 hours organizing screenshots into categories: financial lies, behavioral fabrications, crisis escalation, family manipulation. By 11 p.m., I had a 47-page document with timestamps, context, and cross-references between Mom's different versions of events. But I also had something else, a plan that would either save my relationships or destroy them completely. Saturday morning, Mom was unusually quiet during breakfast, stealing glances at me over her coffee cup like she was trying to solve a puzzle. Big day today, she asked casually. I'm seeing Dr. Martinez at 2, I said. Her coffee mug trembled slightly in her hands. That's great, honey. I'm sure she'll have good insights. I'm bringing some documentation with me. You know, to help give her a complete picture of our family dynamics. Mom's face went pale. Documentation? Text messages, financial records, that sort of thing. I want to make sure she has all the facts before tomorrow's dinner. The word tomorrow hung between us like a loaded gun. Mom set down her coffee and studied my face with an expression I'd never seen before, calculation mixed with something that looked like fear. Sarah, is there something you want to talk about before you see Dr. Martinez? If you're feeling like there are things you need to clarify about our relationship? She was trying to figure out how much I knew, how much damage control she needed to do. I think Dr. Martinez will be very interested in what I have to show her, I said. Especially the parts about crisis hotlines and family interventions. Mom's coffee mug slipped from her fingers, shattering on the kitchen floor. Coffee spread across the tiles as she stared at me with undisguised shock. How do you, she started, then stopped. For the first time in 8 months, my mother had no performance to hide behind. No concerned expression, no loving tone, no carefully crafted explanation. Just raw panic at being caught. Your old phone, I said quietly. The one you forgot to factory reset before putting it in the junk drawer. It's been syncing your deleted messages for weeks. Mom's legs seemed to give out. She sank into her chair, staring at the broken ceramic scattered around her feet. Sarah, I can explain. Can you? Can you explain why you told Dr. Martinez I was financially abusing you while I was giving you $600 a month? Can you explain why you reported me to a crisis hotline for having panic attacks about job interviews? Her mouth opened and closed like she was drowning. Tomorrow at Grandma's party, I continued, everyone's going to learn the truth. All of it. Every lie, every manipulation, every family member you turned against me with fabricated stories. Please, she whispered. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. Actually, I said, standing up and grabbing my keys, Dr. Martinez is about to understand it perfectly. I arrived at Dr. Martinez's office 15 minutes early, clutching a folder thick with printed screenshots. The waiting room was beige and sterile, filled with a kind of motivational art that was supposed to be calming but just made everything feel more surreal. At exactly 2 p.m., Dr. Martinez opened her door, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a neat bun. She looked exactly like someone you'd trust with your deepest secrets. Sarah, thank you for coming. Please, have a seat wherever you're comfortable. I settled into the chair across from her desk, the same chair Mom had probably sat in while spinning stories about my concerning behaviors and escalating aggression. Your mother has shared some worries about your family dynamic, Dr. Martinez began, her voice gentle but professional. I want to hear your side of things. Sometimes families can get caught in cycles of misunderstanding. Before we start, I said, opening my folder, I need to show you something. These are screenshots from my mother's deleted text messages spanning the past 8 months. I think you'll find them illuminating. Dr. Martinez's eyebrows raised slightly, but she maintained her professional composure. Screenshots from deleted messages? Can you help me understand how you came to have these? Mom's old phone was syncing to iCloud. She forgot to factory reset it. I handed her the first batch, messages with our family members. These are conversations she's been having about me while telling me we're best friends. Dr. Martinez began reading, her expression shifting from professional curiosity to genuine concern. I watched her eyes move across Mom's messages to Aunt Linda, Uncle Jerry, Grandma Rose. The claims about financial abuse, emotional manipulation, dangerous mood swings. Sarah, these are very serious allegations your mother has made to family members, she said carefully. Can you help me understand your perspective on these incidents? That's just it, most of these incidents never happened. I pulled out my phone. October 15th, she told my cousin I spent bill money on clothes instead of helping with expenses. Here's the Venmo transfer showing I gave her $600 that day. The clothes were an $85 interview outfit she encouraged me to buy. Dr. Martinez compared the screenshots to my phone records, her frown deepening. September 3rd, she told everyone I was bringing different men over at all hours and leaving beer bottles around. I can show you my calendar, it was my study group. 3 women from my teaching certification program. We had pizza and reviewed flashcards until 10 p.m. I kept going, methodically dismantling Mom's narrative with timestamps, receipts, photos. Dr. Martinez's professional mask began slipping as the scope of the deception became clear. Sarah, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be completely honest. Have you ever screamed at your mother about laundry? Controlled her finances? Exhibited any of the behaviors described in these messages? Never. Not once. The closest we've come to an argument is when I suggested she might want to budget differently during a tight month. She agreed and thanked me for the advice. Dr. Martinez set down the papers and rubbed her temples. I have to tell you, Sarah, your mother has been seeing me for 6 months specifically about what she described as escalating abuse from you. She's called crisis hotlines, documented incidents, and... She paused. We've been planning what we thought was a necessary family intervention for tomorrow. I know, I said quietly. I've seen those messages too. Including the one where you suggested that people like Sarah can become dangerous when cornered. The color drained from Dr. Martinez's face. Oh my God. Sarah, I am so deeply sorry. Based on the information I was given, I genuinely believed you were psychologically and financially abusing your mother. I advised her on safety planning, family intervention strategies, even suggested she consider adult protective services. You weren't the only one she convinced, I said. My entire family thinks I'm an abusive sociopath. They're planning to confront me about it tomorrow at my grandmother's 80th birthday party. Dr. Martinez stood up abruptly and began pacing. This is a complete fabrication of reality. Sarah, your mother has essentially used me as an unwitting accomplice in a systematic campaign to isolate and discredit you. This is unconscionable. The question is, I said, what do we do about it now? Dr. Martinez stopped pacing and turned to face me, her professional composure completely shattered. Sarah, I need to make something very clear to you. What your mother has done, using therapeutic services to build false credibility for fabricated abuse allegations, this isn't just family dysfunction. This is a form of psychological warfare. She sat back down, pulling out a legal pad. I've been practicing for 23 years, and I've never seen anything quite this calculated. The way she's layered professional validation on top of family manipulation, it's sophisticated in a way that's genuinely disturbing. My hands started shaking. Hearing a licensed therapist confirm that Mom's behavior was abnormal somehow made it more real, more terrifying. What does that mean for tomorrow? It means your family is about to ambush you based on what they believe is professional mental health assessment. They think they're staging an intervention recommended by a licensed therapist to save your mother from an abusive daughter. Dr. Martinez's voice was grim. They have no idea they're actually participating in your mother's psychological abuse of you. She started writing rapidly. I need to document everything we discussed today. This conversation, these screenshots, my acknowledgement that I was manipulated into providing professional credibility for false allegations. If this escalates legally, you'll need proof that a mental health professional reviewed the evidence and confirmed the fabrication. Legally? The word came out as barely a whisper. Sarah, think about what your mother has accomplished. She's convinced your family you're mentally ill and dangerous. She's got documentation from crisis hotlines, therapeutic sessions, financial evidence of abuse. She's built a case that could support involuntary psychiatric commitment, guardianship proceedings, or adult protective services investigations. The room started spinning. She wouldn't. 2 weeks ago, your mother asked me about the process for getting someone evaluated for psychiatric hospitalization against their will. I told her it required imminent danger to self or others, documented by multiple professionals. She asked very specific questions about what kind of documentation would be most compelling. I gripped the arms of my chair, feeling like I might pass out. She was planning to have me committed? I can't say definitively what her ultimate goal was, but she was definitely gathering information about involuntary psychiatric intervention. And given the systematic nature of her campaign against you. Dr. Martinez shook her head. Sarah, people don't usually go to this much trouble just to win family arguments. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. *, how did your appointment go? Dr. Martinez texted me that you two had a good conversation. I'm so proud of you for getting help. Red heart *. I showed the message to Dr. Martinez, who read it with disgust. She's still performing. Even now, even knowing you've discovered everything, she's maintaining the narrative that you're the one who needed help. What do I do about tomorrow? Dr. Martinez was quiet for a long moment, staring at the screenshots scattered across her desk. You have several options, none of them easy. You could skip the dinner entirely, avoid the confrontation altogether. You could show up and let them stage their intervention, then present your evidence afterward. Or, you could control the narrative. Send the screenshots to everyone before the dinner. Let them process the truth before they sit down expecting to rescue your mother from her abusive daughter. The thought of exposing Mom's lies to the entire family simultaneously was both terrifying and satisfying. What would happen to her if I did that? Honestly? Your family would probably be devastated. Not just by learning they'd been manipulated, but by realizing they'd been preparing to psychologically attack an innocent person based on fabricated evidence. The shame and guilt would be enormous. And Mom? Your mother would face the complete collapse of her carefully constructed victim narrative. Everyone would know she'd been lying for months, manipulating therapeutic services, potentially planning to have you institutionalized based on false allegations. Dr. Martinez's voice was clinical, but I could hear the anger underneath. The social and family consequences would be severe. I thought about Mom at home right now, probably pacing the kitchen, wondering how much damage control she needed to do. Whether she should escalate her crisis narrative, claim I was having a complete breakdown, maybe even call for an emergency psychiatric evaluation before I could expose her. Dr. Martinez, if she tries to have me committed based on everything she's told you and the crisis hotlines, would it work? Not anymore. Not with what we documented today. But Sarah. She leaned forward, her expression serious. If your mother is willing to fabricate 8 months of detailed abuse allegations and manipulate mental health professionals to support them, I'm not sure what else she might be capable of. You need to be very careful how you handle tomorrow. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Mom, *, can't wait to celebrate Grandma with you tomorrow. It's going to be such a special day for our family. Red heart *. Special day. She had no idea how special it was about to become. I stared at my phone screen, thumbs hovering over the family group chat. The screenshots were ready, organized by recipient, with timestamps and context explanations. All I had to do was hit send. But first, I called Grandma Rose. Sarah, sweetheart. I was just thinking about you. Tomorrow's going to be such a wonderful celebration. Grandma, I said, my voice steadier than I felt, I need to ask you something important. Do you remember when Mom told you I was sleeping all day and eating all the good food without replacing it? There was a pause. Well, yes, dear. Your mother has been worried about some of your habits. I'm going to send you some screenshots, Grandma. I need you to look at them before tomorrow's dinner. Can you do that for me? Screenshots? Sarah, what's this about? Just, please look at them. And Grandma? The person Mom has been describing to you for the past 8 months. That person doesn't exist. I hung up and started sending. First to Grandma Rose, then Aunt Linda, Uncle Jerry, Mike, Jessica. Each message included the same note, please read all of these before tomorrow's dinner. We need to talk about what's really been happening in our family. Within 30 minutes, my phone was exploding. Jessica called first, her voice shaking. Sarah, what the hell is this? These messages, she made up a laundry fight? You were at the library? Every single incident, Jessica. 8 months of lies. But why would she? Her voice broke. Oh my God, we were going to ambush you tomorrow. Uncle Jerry had a whole speech prepared about tough love and accountability. We thought we were saving Aunt Carol from her abusive daughter. I know. Mike was next. I sent her $300 because I thought you'd spent bill money on clothes. But you gave her $600 that month? Plus I can prove the clothes were one interview outfit you could find on my credit card statement. Uncle Jerry's call was different. His voice was cold with fury, but not at me. Sarah, I've been in law enforcement for 30 years. What your mother did, manipulating mental health services, fabricating evidence, building false cases for protective services, that's criminal behavior. Uncle Jerry. No, listen to me. She didn't just lie to family. She filed false reports with crisis hotlines, manipulated a licensed therapist into supporting fabricated abuse allegations, and was potentially building a case for involuntary commitment. That's fraud, filing false reports, and conspiracy. By evening, my phone had gotten 17 calls and 43 texts. The family WhatsApp group that I'd never been added to was apparently in complete meltdown, with people sharing screenshots and trying to piece together the scope of Mom's deception. Aunt Linda's text summed it up. Sarah, we owe you the most profound apology. We were prepared to destroy you tomorrow based on lies. How do we even begin to make this right? But the most important call came at 9 p.m. Sarah. Grandma Rose's voice was different, not the warm, slightly patronizing tone she'd used earlier, but something steel-hard and furious. I've read everything. Every message, every lie, every manipulation. And I want you to know something. Grandma. Tomorrow is my 80th birthday party. Do you know what my birthday wish is going to be? I waited. That my granddaughter, my brilliant, kind, generous granddaughter who I've watched give everything to support her family, gets to see the people who love her actually show her that love for once, instead of tearing her down based on lies. Tears started running down my cheeks. Grandma, I didn't know if you'd believe me. Sweetheart, I've known your mother for 54 years. I know what she's capable of when she feels cornered or threatened. But I also know you. The girl who visited me every Sunday, who helped me move apartments, who gives her mother $400 a month while job hunting. That girl doesn't scream at people about laundry. What happens now? Now? Now your mother faces the family she's been lying to for 8 months. And you, my dear girl, get to have the birthday party you deserve, surrounded by people who actually know who you are. The next morning, Mom was gone before I woke up. No note this time. Just an empty house and a text sent at 6 a.m. *I can't face everyone today. Please tell them I'm sorry. But she was wrong about one thing. I didn't need to tell them anything. At Romano's restaurant that evening, 23 family members gathered around a long table decorated with photos of Grandma Rose through the decades. The empty chair where Mom should have been sitting spoke louder than any explanation could have. Uncle Jerry stood up with his wine glass. Rose, before we celebrate your 80 amazing years, we need to acknowledge something. This family failed one of our own. We let lies poison our judgment and nearly destroyed someone we claimed to love. He turned to me, his voice thick with emotion. Sarah, we owe you more than an apology. We owe you the truth. You are brilliant, generous, hardworking, and loyal. Everything your mother told us you weren't, you actually are. One by one, they stood up. Mike promising to help me find a job through his company's connections. Jessica asking if we could rebuild our friendship. Aunt Linda offering me her spare room if I needed space from Mom. But it was Grandma Rose who said what I needed to hear most. Sarah, you found the strength to expose the truth even when you knew it would hurt people you love. That's not manipulation or abuse, that's courage. Later, driving home with leftover birthday cake and a job lead from Mike's company, I realized something had fundamentally shifted. Not just in my family relationships, but in how I saw myself. For 8 months, I'd been questioning my own reality, wondering if maybe I really was the problem. But now I knew the truth. I wasn't the daughter who needed fixing. I was the daughter who'd been strong enough to fix everything else. The house was still empty when I got home, but my phone had one new message, from Dr. Martinez. Sarah, I've referred your mother to a colleague who specializes in pathological deception. What she did was unconscionable, but she needs help too. You saved yourself, but you might have saved her as well. Mom came home 3 days later, tears streaming down her face, carrying pamphlets about intensive therapy and family reconstruction. We had a lot of work ahead of us. But for the first time in 8 months, we were going to do that work based on the truth. And the truth, it turned out, had been worth fighting for all along.